Hi and welcome back to our 5-minute revision series looking at Unit 2 still, and we're looking at BIOS and device drivers. So what is the BIOS? So it's your basic input-output system that's stored in ROM, basic input-output system. It boots the computer at startup, it checks all your hardware's working and loads the operating system into RAM. So what actually happens then? So when you press the power button on, it supplies electricity to the main components such as the processor, the BIOS, and then goes on to what's called the power on self-test, which is where the BIOS checks each individual input-output device, your main memory, your disk drives and things like that, and usually you get some sort of beep if there's an error, or it might tell you if there's an error on the little black screen you see. Everything passes, it's all okay, and the computer can work. It will then take the operating system out of secondary storage off your hard drive and into RAM or main memory. Your operating system will start running, and then your computer will turn on. That's why we say to put your operating system on a faster media, such as a solid state drive, because they can do this process quicker and it'll boot faster. It then, lastly, checks that everything's okay. It does a system configuration, all the drivers get loaded into main memory, and it starts reading how to talk to your components if it needs to. So what can the BIOS actually do? So if you, usually it's like F11, it could be F1, it'll say when you turn your computer on. You can choose a bunch of things. Now be careful when doing this because you can break your computer. So you can overclock, so you can make your processor work harder. But obviously the downside to that is that if you're working harder all the time, you're going to get tired faster, thinking about a human. So your processor will do the same and could potentially break faster than it would normally. You can format or wipe drives if you're doing a fresh clean install. You don't often have to do this anymore because you can do it within Windows if you're using Windows. But especially if you don't have one pre-installed, you're going to have to format your drives and install something first. You then choose your operating system location, so that could be a hard drive, a second boot device, third boot device, CD, USB stick, does not matter. And then you can choose which one you want to boot for. Let's say you've got your first boot device has Windows on, your second boot device has Linux, your third has got macOS on. You can choose which one gets booted first. So your device driver is a program that allows your operating system to talk to a specific device. Now, they are hardware dependent and operating system specific. So I before wiped a computer, tried to put a new operating system on, managed that successfully, but then none of my drivers worked. So I had to go find them manually, which was awkward, a bit of a pain, and a few hours of my life wasted. But with those drivers, it means your operating system can control the hardware you plug in, such as, if you get a specialist input-output device or something like a Stream Deck or something like that. If you go onto a website such as pcjs.org and run Windows 95, you can actually go into the device manager, see all the drivers and delete them. If you do that, for example, for the mouse, it will stop your mouse working in that emulator, not on your real computer. So it's good to have a little practice and have a little look without damaging your own PC. Now, the operating system does not need to know the specifics of the hardware. If let's say it's a bunch of drivers for Corsair, let's say, and you've got a different Corsair keyboard, if they're all included, it should just work. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't have to do a lot of work to work with a keyboard. But any brand of hardware device can be controlled as long as it uses a compatible driver. So one driver might serve many pieces of hardware or many keyboards. And that is it. A bit of a shorter one, 3 minutes 49 seconds. So please like and subscribe if you enjoy the series. If you want to practice some programming, take a look at some of my programming videos in JavaScript, and I will see you in the next video.